Hello Piscator pals, and welcome to the Tench Lake here at Anglers Paradise, packed full of the most gloriously yellow, orange, white, golden tench you're ever likely to find anywhere across the country. It's rammed to the rafters full of them. The weather's warm and a little bit breezy, the wind's blowing into my face. I'm sat next to a big bunch of lilies, which is where tench like to be. That like to get a bit of shade over the top of their heads. And it's all right conditions. Today I'm likely to be catching golden tench, golden rudd, goldfish. There's also a few carp and koi in here as well, which shouldn't be in here. This sign, right, points to sign, there we go, hard to do, isn't it? There, says that any carp we catch, including koi, need to go into a net, which is right here. Yes, we brought her with us too, Annette. So that they can get transferred to another lake where the carp and koi are supposed to be. This is supposed to be a tench lake primarily, with golden orph and rudd and goldfish in. Absolutely fine. They don't want big carp in here because the big carp will get big and outfeed the tench. So any little devils which we catch today are going to be put into that little net there. But yeah, looks set to be a good day. Right, let's get going. Hook is caught in the fish and the net. Let's get it out the fish first. There we go. First fish of the session. Only took about a minute. Beautiful golden tench. Look at that. Bright orange, black spots, like a bar of soap. Glorious. One of the main problems of catching tench, and bream for that matter, is you get a load of the slime all up and down the line. It's a real pain, but it's really important to get rid of that slime. I think some of the smell of the fish, some of the pheromones on the skin, I've bunched it all up now. A great big snotty lump right on my nose. Try and get as much off as you can. Failing that, you can take the dropper shot off, which I have, but no dropper shot. Just slide any little chunks right up to the float, so they're right out of the way of the fish. Well, you can deal with that later on. Bring it down and cut it off the line, or when you've taken the hook off, get it off of there. But yeah, you want a nice clean hook length. But it's still not perfectly clean, is it? Look at the state of it. That's better. Lovely. Yeah, you don't want the smell of the startled fish all over your line, otherwise your bites will definitely go down in at number. Anyway, just actually been starting just maggots. Well, I say just maggots. I've been sprinkling in some little teeny tiny pellets. Where did I put the pellets? Here we are. Nearly run out. Little tiny red dots of pellets, and sprinkling some of the maggots in as well. A float, oh my god, it's the wind that's blowing everything around. You can see the breeze in the background on the water, look. Yeah, just start with maggots. It's always good to start with maggots in any water, I think, if you're doing this sort of fishing, which is float fishing, which is what I'm doing. And did consider using a feeder, but it's just too nice to fish for tench with a float. Calm down, calm down. There we are. A little brown goldfish. One of the guys who was supposed to be in here. So we'll unhook him. Give him a little kiss. And back into the lake you go. There we are. Another beautiful golden tench. Peppered in black spots. Beautiful fish. Lovely. Tench Lake here at Anglers Paradise has to be one of Zyg's crowning glory lakes, I would say, alongside the Koi Lake. This is the only lake in the entire world shaped like a tench. It's been dug, all the contours of all the fins and the tail of a tench. If you look at it in Google Earth from above, it just looks like a fish. Amazing. And why not? The Golden Tench, or the tench just in general, is certainly a fish worth celebrating. And the golden ones here, as you've seen, are absolutely fantastically coloured fish. They're a lot slimier, I find, than a normal tench. Although tench, the green ones are really, really slimy. These ones get everywhere. It's all over my hand, it's all over my top, it's all over my trousers, all the slime everywhere. Of course, you know, the tench itself has that protective slime, so that if it gets damaged or hurt, it can repair itself quite easily. So it is best to try not to get too much of the slime on you. It's also good for your washing machine because it doesn't come out necessarily in the first wash. But, you know, I don't mind getting a bit of slime on me. It's a sign of a good day's fishing, that is. When you come back home, you're covered in slime, you stink to high heaven. That's a happy angler right there. Okay, so I've been using maggot for quite a lot of the time, but I know from experience of fishing the Tench Lake, and with most things, bigger baits catch bigger fish, and the tench really love prawns. This one took a whopping great big prawn. He's not a whopping great big tench, but he is very beautiful. Look at that. Put up a good fight in amongst the lilies. It's a bit tough fishing alongside the lilies because of course you've got to try and get these guys out, because the first thing they do when they're hooked is think, oh my god, we've got to get back in somewhere safe. Straight back in the lilies. What a lovely fish. Beautiful little barbules on his mouth there, look. You can see them, yeah. Oh, so nice. Nice rounded fins, big paintbrush tail for painting the walls with. Fantastic fish. Gotta love a tench. Tench are one of my top fish. It sometimes creeps into my number one, and sometimes it's replaced by a perch. It depends what I'm catching at the time, really. But a tench has always been really high up on the list, and you can see why, particularly these fantastic golden ones. Lovely. Apparently, whacking a great big prawn. Apparently, whacking a great big prawn on doesn't deter the little rudd. But they're still nice little fish to catch, aren't they? Bless them. Eyes bigger than their belly though. One of the things to look out for here around the Tench Lake are some of Zyg's trees, these apple trees. And there's loads of apples on them this year. Check these guys out. And obviously they're a little bit tough still, they need to be ripened up a little bit more. But as you wander around, each tree is a completely different variety. Now, Zyg here for years and years and years has been brewing his homemade famous Anglers Paradise wine. And he uses all the fruits and berries he has here at Anglers Paradise to help to brew the wine. Every year the wine is ever so slightly different tasting. Sometimes it's a bit sweeter, sometimes it's a bit more tart. It just depends on the year itself. But check them all out, there's just tons and tons of apples on these trees, all different varieties. There's another one over here actually, let's have a look at this one. Now the wine here is famous. It's famous because I always call it a sipping wine. It's not a sort of wine you just, you know, swill and quaff. It's very, very potent. And yeah, there's many tales of anglers and visitors here at Anglers Paradise having a couple of glasses of wine at the bar. Particularly when you arrive here, you always get a free bottle of wine when you arrive and some free glasses of his wine. It's very potent. There's so many tales of people stumbling back to their villas, tripping over things, taking twice as long to unpack the car than usual, falling asleep, falling into plant pots and stuff everywhere. But also, other than the apples which grow on the trees here, there are a whole bunch of brambles in amongst all these hedgerows here, and full of blackberries at this time of year. Well, the birds have eaten a lot of them, I've noticed, and they go into the wine. The elderberries go into the wine, and again, there's sometimes different flavours from different years. I mean, it's just everywhere you go around Tench Lake, it's just full of apples. Plenty of wasps. One's following me now. Leave me alone. Thank you very much. But yeah, oh, there's a few stray blackberries on the tree here. Look. Oh yeah. Here we are. Also make very good fishing baits, these blackberries. Let's have a look. Are these ripe? Oh yeah. Oh, the fruits of nature. I tell you, you could just feast walking around Anglers Paradise. Look at them all. Blackberries everywhere. All sorts of different wines he makes as well. There is the generic Anglers Paradise wine. There's also a very sweet, like what I would call a dessert wine, which he calls Viagra, which, as the name suggests, gives you that little bit of a kick. But it's very sweet. It's one of my favourite wines here. There's a Golden Tench wine, there's a Marlin wine, there's all sorts. One based upon the elderberry, one based upon the blackberries, all sorts of mixtures. So many visitors to Anglers Paradise. It's no wonder there's so many trees here to provide all of the fruits of Anglers Paradise that he needs. Let's just hope the wasps don't get into them. Anyway, I've got loads of Anglers Paradise wine from various years. I can't possibly drink it all. I've got some back from 2020 when I was here, 2019 when I was here, and in fact I've only really recently just finished some which was 15 years old. Now I've only been coming here for 11 years, but one of the other guests here had been keeping it for a while, and that, after 15 years, mwah, delicious. Also, when they do the netting week here and everyone comes down and nets out these lakes so that they can take all the silt out and move fish into the different lakes that they're supposed to be in. So there's a few carp in the Tench Lake, we shouldn't be in there, so we are popping them, everyone on the lake here is popping them into that little keep net thing that I showed you, so that they can be taken to the lake they're supposed to be in. But when they do the netting week, there's a what do they call it, a treasure hunt, where the staff here will take bottles of Zyg's wine over into the woodlands, over in the distance over there, and they'll hide them all throughout the woods, under logs, hanging from trees, from ropes and things. And although I haven't been to a netting week for the lakes for a long time, there's still plenty of bottles left over that people don't find. So, a little tip from me: if you're ever here, sort of just after November when they've done the netting week, have a little walk around the woods round by the Koi Lake. Keep your eyes peeled for any bottles, and you might find a free little bottle hiding somewhere. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, you find one that's been in the ground for years and years and years. Anything in a glass bottle, for example, has been there for a very long time, probably 15-20 years old. We found one here not so long ago, and it was covered in mud, bits of grit and dust and all stuff all over it, but it was absolutely delicious. Perhaps that's what you should do with wine. Bury it in the ground for a little while. I don't know. I don't know much about wine. All I know is Zyg stuff is famously potent, so careful when drinking it. One of the carp in the net has just jumped and hit the top and come back in again. scared the hell out of me. Not going to lie. Problem I've got in my swim now is all of a sudden a massive shoal of rudd has shown up, and I'm 100% sure that not a single free-baited maggot is reaching the bottom of the lake to the tench. And consequently, the bites have all dried up, which is a bit of a shame because I was doing really well with tench, loads more than I put on the camera. I don't know how many I've caught, probably about 30 odd. A few little goldfish, a few little rudd, a couple of carp which are now in the net there, little tiddlers. But yeah, with the rudd there's just, I mean, I couldn't even really give an accurate estimate of how many there are, but there's at least, let's just sprinkle a few in. I mean, 150, 100, 150, maybe more, all about this sort of size. It's just, it's being blitzed, absolutely blitzed. So that means I'm having trouble loose feeding and getting the bait to the bottom. And then the tench is just losing interest and disappearing off. Could have bought some bigger pellets really, something that the rudd can't get their mouth into. But the little stock pellets, I mean, there's hundreds of them that go in, and I'm certain some of them are still getting to the bottom. But you have to be feeding quite heavily to get through them now, which is where the little dot pellets come in. You can feed hundreds and hundreds of pellets just in one small handful. Tried using pellet on the hook, but it just hasn't really done anything. And prawns now, despite being a really big bait, are being absolutely smashed to pieces on the way down by all these little rudd. It's a bit of a shame really. Still, I've had some fantastic golden tench, which is what I came onto this lake for. So I cannot complain. Every fish is a winner on here when it's a golden tench anyway. Beautiful fish. I could happily fish for them all day. All day. But I haven't got all day. Days have to end, which is a shame. Ooh. Yeah, I think that's just the floats just ding 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 ding. They get torn to shreds by rudd. Oh dear. Well, that was absolutely incredible. And so ends another day on the awesome Tench Lake here at Anglers Paradise. It's gone through many iterations, this Tench Lake. It's gone through being a pack full of tench, having no tench at all, with a problem quite a few years back now, and it's back to its former glory, filled with beautiful golden tench. And a few other little specials as well, grass carp and goldfish and rudd. Magnificent. small wonder really, whenever I'm here, you'll always find me down the Tench Lake at one day during the week here. It's really, really nice. The weather's not been the greatest today. Trying to hold my float rod up against those lilies with this wind blowing through has been a real issue. You can still see the rippling wind on there now. Perhaps if I'd have been down this end of the lake where I've just wandered down to now, where the pagoda is, it might have been easier because the bait would have flown down and the flow going across the water there would have all come down this end. So whoever was sat down here when I got here probably had quite a good day as well. But tench were had, goldfish were had, rudd were had. I did have a couple of little carp which I popped into a little keep net there to be moved to some other lake because they don't want any carp in here at all. But the fish do move around a little bit sometimes, which is a pain in the bum for them, I'm certain of it, and a bit of a pain for the anglers who aren't really coming onto this lake for carp, of course. I'm just looking across here now. I'm just wandering down this way. I'm just doing a bit of investigating really as I've packed up. And over in this corner here, right there, there's like a little dark spot on the water just where my finger is, and that there must be well over 1,000 rudd there. In fact, I would comfortably say probably about 3,000 rudd. I'm glad they weren't in my swim, though towards the end I did have a ton of rudd, which kind of ruined the swim a little bit really. Magnificent to see though, really nice. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me here on the Tench Lake, Anglers Paradise. Fantastic fishing as always. Like this video if you've liked it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys again on the bank next time. Bye! Why has that started recording? Why are you recording? I didn't press anything.